Captain James Blackwood looked out the window of his spaceship, the Artemis. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before him, an endless sea of darkness dotted with distant stars. It was super empty out there, a void that seemed to swallow everything, including his thoughts. His ship, the Artemis, was a tiny dot in the huge dark ocean of space, a fragile vessel in the face of the universe's enormity. Earth looked like a small blue marble far away, and James's memories of home were fading, becoming distant echoes of a life he once knew. He was on a one-way trip, a journey with no return ticket. His job? Find a planet where people could live, a new home for humanity. His orders were super clear, but his heart felt heavy, burdened by the weight of his mission. The Artemis made humming noises like a robot orchestra, and that sound was comforting, a reminder that he wasn't completely alone. James missed hearing people laugh and the feeling of someone else's hand in his. The silence of space was deafening. He was all alone in a sea of stars, a solitary traveller in an infinite expanse. His mission was really important, but it felt like a heavy weight on his shoulders, a responsibility that grew with each passing day. He had to find a new home for everyone on Earth, a place where humanity could start anew. Months went by, one after another, all the same. The days blended into each other, a monotonous routine of survival. He looked at star maps, studied information from his computer, and tried to save fuel, each task a small step towards his ultimate goal. Then something showed up on his radar, a blip that broke the monotony of his journey. A planet, glowing green in the light of its sun, a beacon of hope in the vast darkness. The planet got bigger and bigger, a bright green jewel against the blackness of space. James held his breath as the Artemis flew into the planet's atmosphere. The ship shook a lot like a bumpy welcome. He held the controls tight, steering the ship through the stormy sky. Below, a beautiful world unfolded, like something out of a dream. Bright plants covered the ground, shining under a sky that was lavender and gold. Waterfalls tumbled down tall crystal mountains, roaring like a powerful song. The air felt strange and full of energy, like a heartbeat he could feel inside himself. He landed the Artemis on a flat area overlooking a huge, sparkly lake. His heart beat fast with excitement and a little bit of fear. This planet was like nothing he had ever seen. He took a big breath and stepped out onto the strange ground. He walked further, his boots crunching on the crystal surface. A storm came up really fast. The sky, just a moment ago lavender and gold, turned a scary purple-black. Strong winds blew, pulling at the strange, glowing plants. James, caught outside, struggled to get back to the Artemis. Lightning cracked across the sky, lighting up the world with a spooky light. Over the howling wind, he heard it, a cry. It was quiet and sounded desperate, like someone needed help. He stopped, not sure what to do. He wanted to be safe, but he also felt like he had to help. The cry came again, even weaker. He couldn't ignore it. Fighting the wind, James followed the sound. It led him to a deep ditch, hard to see in the storm. He looked down, his heart beating fast. There, holding onto the edge, was a person. He had to save her. He reached her just as she started to fall, his heart pounding in his chest. The moment seemed to stretch out, every second feeling like an eternity. Super strong from the rush of adrenaline, James pulled her up. She was surprisingly light, almost as if she weighed nothing at all. He marvelled at how delicate she seemed. She fell against him, her silver hair cascading over his arm like a waterfall of moonlight. It was soft and cool to the touch, unlike anything he had ever felt before. She was unconscious and breathing slowly, each breath a gentle rise and fall of her chest. He could feel the faint warmth of her breath against his skin. He had to get them both back to the ship. The urgency of the situation pressed on him, but he moved with a careful determination, not wanting to jostle her too much. He carried her carefully, fighting his way back to the Artemis. The corridors seemed longer than usual, each step echoing in the silence of the ship. Inside the ship he laid her down on a bed. The room was dimly lit, casting soft shadows on her serene face. He could see her face clearly now, Her features were delicate, almost ethereal, with a calmness that belied the chaos they had just escaped. Her skin was a beautiful purple colour, smooth and cool to the touch. It shimmered slightly under the soft lights, giving her an otherworldly glow. She looked different from anyone he had ever seen, but she was beautiful. There was a grace to her, even in unconsciousness, a quiet strength that drew him in. He found a medical kit and looked her over. His hands moved quickly but gently, assessing her injuries with a practiced eye. She had a bad cut on her arm, and her ankle was bent the wrong way. The sight of her injuries made his heart ache, but he focused on helping her. He worked quickly, cleaning and bandaging her wounds. Each movement was precise, driven by a need to see her safe and healed. He noticed a weird symbol on a necklace around her neck. It was unlike any symbol he had seen before, intricate and mesmerizing. It glowed softly, pulsing with the same energy he felt in the air. The light seemed to sync with her breathing, creating a rhythmic dance of light and life. Finally she woke up, her eyes fluttering open. There was a moment of disorientation before her gaze focused on him. They were a bright gold colour, and she looked confused but also relieved. Her eyes held a depth of emotion that spoke volumes. She spoke in a language he didn't understand, her voice like music. The words were foreign, but the tone was clear. She was trying to communicate. James tried to calm her down, but he didn't know what to say. He hoped his tone conveyed the reassurance he felt, even if the words were lost. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. James took care of the alien woman with unwavering dedication. He felt responsible for her well-being, as if her fate was intertwined with his own. He learned her name was Lyra, and she was the princess of this planet. She called it Xylos. Their communication grew stronger each day. Using a special device she showed him pictures in his mind, teaching him her language and the history of her people. Lyra's ankle got better fast, but the cut on her arm, made by a creature with sharp claws and glowing eyes, was infected. The infection spread quickly, causing her great pain. Xylos, even though it was beautiful, had hidden dangers lurking in its shadows. He tried everything he knew to help her, but the cut got worse. His frustration grew as he watched her suffer. Lyra got weaker and weaker, her strength fading with each passing day. One night, as James watched over her, Lyra grabbed his hand. Her touch was cold, yet there was a spark of hope in her eyes. She was weak, but she held on tight, her grip surprisingly strong for someone so frail. She looked at him, her golden eyes begging him for help, conveying a silent plea that pierced his heart. Then she put his hand on her cut, guiding him with a sense of urgency. A shock of energy went through him, making him yell in surprise and pain. He pulled his hand back, scared and confused by the sudden surge of energy, but Lyra held on, surprisingly strong, her determination unwavering. The energy flowed from him into her, warm and tingly, filling her with a new strength and vitality. As Lyra got better, they became closer. He learned about her world, a beautiful place full of magic where nature and technology lived together peacefully. She told him about her people, the Xylonians, who lived with the rhythms of the planet. He told her about Earth, its problems, and his hope to find a new home for humans. She listened carefully, her golden eyes reflecting the starlight outside the spaceship window. They explored the area around the ship. Lyra showed him amazing things, forests that glowed, waterfalls that flowed up, and creatures that shimmered with light. Walking beside her, their hands sometimes touching, made everything even more amazing. One night, as they watched Xylos's 2 moons rise, James told Lyra how he felt. "Lyra," he started, his voice shaky, I love you. I know it sounds crazy. We're from different worlds, but I've never felt this way before." Lyra looked at him, her golden eyes searching his face. He saw a little bit of doubt and fear, but also the same feelings he had. "James," she said softly, I care for you very much. You saved my life and my heart is yours. But our worlds—" He took her hand, his rough fingers holding hers. "I know," he said, "but that doesn't change how I feel. We'll figure it out together. We have to." He looked into her eyes, hoping she understood. "Please, Lyra, tell me you feel it too." Their love gave people hope in a galaxy that was in trouble. News of their relationship spread everywhere, even to the leaders of both their worlds. On Earth, people were surprised and cautiously hopeful. Could this be the answer to their problems? A connection between two worlds? On Xylos, people felt differently. Some were happy about it, seeing it as a good sign. Others were scared of someone from another planet. Lyra, now the Queen of Xylos, faced the people who disagreed with her with strength and kindness, her love for James guiding her. Their wedding showed everyone how much they loved each other, a celebration of two worlds coming together. The wedding was on Xylos, in a clearing lit by the soft glow of the planet's plants. James, wearing Xylonian clothes, stood tall and proud next to his bride. Their marriage wasn't just about two people. It was a symbol of hope for a better future. It helped Earth and Xylos work together, sharing what they knew and what they had to help both planets survive. James, now connected to Lyra and her world forever, found a new mission. He became an ambassador, a link between the two planets. He worked hard to help people understand each other, his love for Lyra giving him strength. And as he looked up at the night sky, no longer empty but full of the promise of love, he knew their story wasn't over. Their love was bigger than space and time, a story of how even in the strangest places, people can find love and comfort.